hundreds of UFO sightings in recent years. Last year, these glowing pyramid shapes flying over a Navy destroyer off the coast of California.
Within the broader enigma that is the UFO phenomenon is another riddle that has not yet been resolved. Why do so many sightings involve weird rectangular or triangular shaped craft that are frequently reported as being dark in colour, nearly noiseless, and the size of a football field or larger? To be more specific, what are they? And why have witnesses reported seeing a large number of them hovering or moving slowly and methodically without leaving any visible contrails? In today's video, we go through some of the strange sightings that occurred just last month. In the years that followed the year 1952, when the United States Air Force first used the term unidentified flying object, reports frequently referred to UFOs in a more general sense as flying saucers. However, witnesses at the time and subsequent witnesses have described a diverse range of shapes, including saucers or two saucers joined together, eggs, hats, cigars, boomerangs, light bulbs, and even tic-tac candies. The letter V, the shape of an arrowhead, and the triangle were some of the most often reported forms. According to UFO researcher and author David Marler, who wrote the book Triangular UFOs, An Estimate of the Situation, he has gone over more than 17,000 case files concerning unexplained triangular craft, which are also referred to as black triangles. The aim of the sightings is still a mystery, regardless of whether they are advanced US spy craft as some people believe, or something else of unknown origin. Marler speculates that given their pattern of persistent hovering, the aliens might be engaged in surveillance of some nature or scanning, or conducting an analysis of the topography. According to Chris Mellon, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence during the Clinton and George W. Bush administrations, whose career has focused on unconventional threats to American security, there have been many instances in which these vehicles have been observed over bases operated by the Strategic Air Command. Last month in November, a weird image of a big object lighted by moonlight was shared online. Those who witnessed it above the United States of America reported that it appeared to be a perfect rectangle. The fact that this is not the first time that one of these rectangles has been spotted is one of the most perplexing aspects of this sighting. Locals in China have noticed that one of them was photographed in the sky above the province of Shandong, which is well known for being a region with a high incidence of unusual sightings. Those who lived in the United States reported that the object was difficult to spot and that it was only made apparent when one was positioned in the appropriate location. Moonlight was helped to shed light on the mysterious object, which led some people to comment that it was enormous but leave others wondering how it was able to remain still in the sky. Several images started making their way around internet communities that focus on the investigation of weird sightings, and this resulted in additional locals coming forward to claim that they had witnessed the same thing as the first people who came forward. One of the witnesses stated the following: "So I wasn't able to take a picture of it with my camera, but I can say with certainty that I saw it. When I got home, I sent a message to a buddy saying that I'd just seen a huge rectangle in the sky. They didn't believe me, but I know for a fact that I observed something just before it disappeared. It makes me question whether or not I observed it from the appropriate vantage point, which would have caused the object to illuminate. I have to admit that there were times when I questioned whether or not my mind was playing a trick on me. Nonetheless, I am relieved to see that I am not the only one who saw this." Another individual stated that they had seen something around the beginning of the year, but their description of the object was significantly different, stating that it was in the shape of a triangle instead of a rectangle. He added that this sighting had many of the same features as theirs, including that it was silent as it floated in the air and that it could only be seen from specific perspectives. Those who have seen the photographs have commented that it appears as though a metropolis is suspended in the air above it. Some people responded immediately by stating that these cloud formations were nothing out of the ordinary. However, many others did not believe this explanation and stated that it is pretty evident that there is something up there. People have been reporting the presence of enormous aircraft seated in the clouds for a number of years, which is one of the strangest aspects of these sightings given that they are nothing new. In other instances, they have been seen sitting there for several hours before taking off at a fast rate of speed. Although these aircrafts are known to people who have come into contact with them or spotted them, As of right now, no one has come forward to claim that they are responsible for capturing them on camera, which has only led to further confusion and more questions being posed. Others soon put forward the idea that this was actually part of some experiment and that the government may have been testing some new technology in the area, noting that it might give off the illusion that objects are in the sky. During the 1950s, 1960s and 1970s, people all over the United States and the world reported seeing triangle-shaped unidentified flying objects. In the 1960s, at the height of the UFO frenzy that was associated with the Cold War, reports of unexplained flying triangles were made over Connecticut, Georgia, Pennsylvania and Texas. They were also recorded over London, Madrid and Czechoslovakia. In 1969, 2 pilots from the National Guard followed a triangular-shaped object that was 50 feet in diameter for 2 minutes over San Juan, Puerto Rico, until they ran out of fuel and were forced to return to their base. The object in question was described as having a diameter of 50 feet. Officials were able to connect many of these instances to atmospheric conditions, weather balloons, or other everyday sources. However, several of them remained unexplained. A significant increase in the number of mass sightings was reported in the Hudson Valley of New York between the years 1983 and 1986. This region is located around 80 kilometers north of New York City. One of the witnesses, Kevin Sorovilla, a retired lieutenant from the Yorktown Police Department, observed a massive, silent object that was hovering low and measured 100 yards from wingtip to wingtip. After banking and making a 45-degree spin, the UFO suddenly accelerated and disappeared. According to Sorovilla, he called Stewart Air Force Base, which is located in neighbouring Newburgh, to find out whether or not any of its C-5 transport planes, which were at the time the largest and heaviest aircraft in the world, had been flying that night. He was informed that none of them had been. In the latter part of that year, a massive triangular UFO was spotted flying over a section of the Taconic Parkway in New York. As a result, a significant number of drivers pulled over to have a closer look at the mysterious object. The region was plagued with instances of similar nature for a number of years. When 30,000 citizens of Phoenix, Arizona observed something weird in the skies in March 1997, the city became a UFO hotspot. The strange object was characterized as V-shaped in some sightings, but triangular in others. It was in the shape of a triangle and had 3 lights, an 11-year-old Cub Scout was quoted as remarking. It was the size of 25 airliners and it didn't make a sound, according to a retired airline pilot. Others estimated its size to be 3 football fields. In the year 2000, authorities from nearby municipalities in southern Illinois were dispatched to examine a trucker's complaint of a large arrowhead-shaped UFO hovering low in the sky, 2 stories high and the length of a football field. Dispatch tapes show the astonishment and horror exhibited by the several law enforcement units, all of which were in radio contact with one another. The National UFO Reporting Center, which has recorded over 8,100 sightings of triangle-shaped UFOs since the early 1960s, anticipates around 200 sightings in the first half of 2020. Many of these sightings have been thoroughly researched by UFO investigators. Belgian triangles have been interpreted as stars, planets, balloons or blimps, with a dash of mass hallucination tossed in for good measure. The lights over Phoenix were dismissed as flares thrown during an Air National Guard exercise, despite widespread skepticism. Some believe the New York sightings were staged by local stunt pilots flying in formation. One explanation raises the possibility of the airship effect. According to this idea, people who observe unrelated lights in the sky can fool themselves into thinking they are all part of the same object. Other theories have revolved around top-secret planes. Although the US government has mostly remained silent on the subject, it is widely known that the Air Force has experimented with triangular and V-shaped aircraft for decades, including the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber and the F-117 Nighthawk, as well as possibly additional unnamed aircraft. Sightings near Area 51, Nevada's classified spy plane testing facility, may be linked to test flights of some of these craft. However, the unusual size described by numerous witnesses is surprising. For researchers, the volume of sightings and consistency of the craft's hovering behavior combined with their inexplicable rapid accelerations, point away from recognized military technology. What do you think these mysterious rectangular and triangular objects are? Tell us about it in the comments section.